Songs from my cell. I give you the prologue to the whole work, To the Light, because really it is it's a lifetime's work, and I condensed the whole lot down into just over 100 pages, about 120 I think, as they're set out in my manuscript. The heading to the prologue is "My Songs Are My Guide." I wrote that when I was 17, I think. Part of a song called "We Both Need to Know." I want to try and say all that I have to say, for it's the only way you'll know about me. So the prologue begins like this. A lifetime of writing song lyrics has proved to me the truth of a piece of wisdom I picked up from a Roman writer, Seneca. The mark of a true artist is to have captured everything in a small compass. Focusing on the most memorable and so crucial parts of my history, with the aid of melodic structure, has helped me tell my life story as concisely and richly as I believe it is possible to do. My prose works were written mainly to advance whatever talent I've been given as a songwriter. Short stories are good at condensing experience and making it easier to remember than linear prose. That's why I've written the chapters of my autobiographical books in short story format. But the song lyrics that make up this chronicle, crystallized through brief accounts of the inspiration that inspired them, chart my life in a much more substantial and accurate way than any of my other works. In an earlier edition of this songbook, I suggested that poetry at its best is a superior art form than songwriting, and I still believe that this is true. One obvious reason for this is that poets don't have musical notation as well as words to concentrate on. But at their best, song lyrics have an advantage over poetry due to the music that shapes them. Melody is manna from heaven. Many of the great poets of the past use musical instruments to help them construct their wordplay, including the great biblical psalmist King David. And China's finest poets, Tu Fu and Lai Po, also use stringed gizmos to help them shape their verse. Even the mighty Dante loves song, and many of his earliest stanzas were put to music by musical friends of his. The same applies to countless other poets who worked in rhyming meter, which is related to musical form. Many songwriters are motivated by melody. The airs that come to them while they tinkle on their instruments haunt them until they find the rhyming words that shape the songs. My lyrics are primarily autobiographical. They sing of my relationships, first with the family and community I was born into and the town that shaped my formative years. Then the popular musical world I struggled to find a place in my teens while I searched for a soulmate. Once the girl was found, family matters took precedence over everything, except faith. Overarching the whole lyrical and musical edifice I've created over my lifetime, like the dome of a cathedral with a cross on top, religious faith has been the primary source of inspiration that has moved me to sing. Now, a man that had a great quarrel with the religion of his country, Tolstoy, he was a Christian, but he was up in arms with a lot of the Christian priests and of Russia at the time that he was writing, said, basically we cannot do without religion. I mean, to think that we could do without politics. Can you imagine the insanity of that? Well, I think the same applies to religion. It's beginning to fall apart now at this time in life, but it will come back again, renewed, reshaped, simpler, I think. I think that's one of the big problems with religion. They try to figure everything out, and we can't figure everything out, as the scientists are beginning to realize. Quantum mechanics has led science into such a cul-de-sac of bewilderment that they're as lost as everybody else. To say they're not is madness. So anyway, we'll move on. That's the intro I'm after giving you to the whole book. And there's a little poem there at the beginning. It's called Shells. And it's the pride that comes into everything, that brings down everything. Shells, the pride of Florence and Rome, shaped like a cathedral dome, and proclaimed by strident bells, was silenced by hurled shells, found by the Atlantic after Mass, God's humble carapace. And I'm not going to give you the full chapters now, but I'm thinking of doing this, actually doing it on working out the platform on YouTube to actually, I think it would be a better way of actually introducing the public to my work. 4 chapters. And that's all they are. That's all they are. I've condensed everything down to just 4 collections of songs with the stories that go with them. This is the introduction to chapter 1. When the inspiration to write the songs for my Just Another Town collection came to me in my mid to late 20s, my songwriting skills were still at an early stage of development, so the lyrics aren't quite as refined as my later efforts. Despite this, the overall album was deeply inspired, though one of 2 critics who reviewed it when it was first released didn't notice its value, understandably so. In his book, What is Art?, Leo Tolstoy describes how this can happen. In our society, the difficulty of recognizing real works of art is increased by the fact that the external quality of the work in false productions is not only no worse, but often better than the real ones. The counterfeit is often more effective than the real. Counterfeit production has all but taken over the popular music industry, as well as other art forms in our time. And the false advertising that goes hand in glove with slick window dressing promotion has hoodwinked multitudes into opting for artifact rather than real art. A misconception put about regarding the first edition of Just Another Town when I released it in 1992 was that it was made up mainly of dark and depressing songs. Yes, in the interest of verisimilitude, reality, dark shades were applied to the overall portrait of the town I grew up in because they existed in real life and were an essential part of the true picture. In a paradoxical way, they highlighted brighter aspects of my hometown, in the same way that Rembrandt's brightest portraits dazzle because of the depth of shadow that surrounds them. Despite some initial poor critical response, Just Another Town came to be lauded by many listeners, radio presenters, and leading musical critics eventually. I make this point not to blow my own trumpet, but merely to demonstrate that inspired work has a way of finding its rightful place in the hierarchy of merit in time. How this happens, Tolstoy explains again. It's simple because despite the commercial hoodwinking that is constantly going on in PR, people in general seem to possess a natural discernment for detecting the true from the false and the real from fake. And that's the introduction to chapter 1. As I say, I'm not going to sing all the songs to you. I'll just sing the title song. Maybe one other one. I'll see how I'm feeling after singing it. But just to give you an idea, it opens actually with a song called Another Morning, which is a very bright song. Then there's a love song in there. There's all sorts of, there's bells ringing. There's church services going on. There's a dance hall. The whole gamut is in there, of town life. So look, this is the title song. And when it came to me, it took my breath away because there's a great old saying, by two men that I greatly admire. One, Pascal, a French writer. Wisdom returns us to youth. And a similar one by William Wordsworth. The boy is father of the man. The old spinster is going insane. Her next door neighbor is in church again. Two drunks are fighting down in the lane, and little children are playing a game. Dogs are barking, little girls sing, and the chapel bell begins to ring. Someone deals Bobby a king. On the pavement money starts to ring. Oh, the street is drifting into evening while the sun is going down. I'm just back there capturing the feeling, though it's just another town. Just another town. The cripple crawls up the avenue. Oh, and someone else says, hey, how do you do? Someone kicks a ball over to you while the sky begins to lose its hue. And a group of old stevedores from the ships come up the street bent from the hips. One takes a cigarette from his lips. Someone else drops the coin he flips. Oh, the street is drifting into evening while the sun is going down. I'm just back there capturing the feeling, though it's just another town. Just another town. And in the band room up on the hill, a brass band's playing, I can hear it still. The slide trombone is softly blown. The old nurse is on her way to the shops. The epileptic, he suddenly drops. Down the hill, my father's in the docks, and in the bar the drinking never stops. Bobby throws down a pair of queens. The church bell interrupts someone's dreams. Someone's talking of football teams. Some girl is straightening her nylon seams. Oh, the street is drifting into evening while the sun is going down. I'm just back there capturing the feeling. Oh, it's just another town. Just another town. And there's 18 other songs to go with that, all about growing up in Limerick. But it could have been any town, really, you know. I sang it once in New York, and a fella came up to me afterwards and said, "That's my town," he said, you know. And the opposite side of America, he said, just the exact same. And yet, when I sent it first, as I said before on this platform, to one of the biggest record companies in Ireland, they came back to me and said, too parochial. Too parochial. Anyway, no sour gripes here, you know. Every bad thing that happens to you in life, if you take it in the right attitude, will help you grow. Come back for more next week. I'll do the one song from the next chapter. And then I might move over to the different platform of YouTube and bring people with me. So when the time comes, and then you might hear the whole work over, I don't know how long it would take, but we'll see. It's all in the lap of God. Everything. The mad confusion we're all going through at the moment, but it'll all iron itself out in time. Thanks for being with me. Pass it on. Please pass it on. I'd like the audience to grow, because I've kind of stopped going out doing gigs because I don't like traveling at night too much. I'd like to do maybe 1 or 2 gigs, one in Limerick, one in Dublin, one in Galway, maybe in Cork, where I kind of started out in many ways. But anyway, have a nice day, have a nice week, and come back for more next week.